All right, my English teacher friends, Kristian and Kuhn coming at you again, affectionately known as the Bob Ross of Composition. And I got a lesson in discovering theme. So, what we're going to do is have a little circle time in which we're going to read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie and have a deep conversation about the following. Are we talking about a needy mouse or are we talking about something else? Yes, we are rendering the abstract more concrete, a skill set that a lot of our students struggle with when they read literature. So, what we'll do is unpack that text. Then we're going to practice the inverted thesis frame, which is a heuristic that I use to get anchored in a thesis in the introductory paragraph. And what we'll do is unpack 3 stellar examples that my students wrote to get at the nitty-gritty pith and substance of this particular text. I think this is a fantastic way to elucidate theme and to bring it to light so that students can get a sense of deeper meanings and complex readings. And it's just starting very simple, very small, building to more complex text. So in terms of a natural segue, I did this lesson with a number of children's stories, and then we went and revisited the infamous octopus prompt from the AP literature exam. And it was really cool because what students were able to see was we're not talking about an octopus, we're talking about something else. And little bite-sized exercises like this helps them get to that something else. Before we jump in, please subscribe to the channel. It's called Kristian Kuhn, the Bob Ross of Composition. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your students. Hit that subscribe button, sprinkle some love on that like thumb, and help me beat that pesky algorithm so that I can get my content out there as far and wide as possible. So in terms of running this exercise, I have a copy of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I also found that on YouTube there are some recitations on there. So we just had a literal circle time and we read the story twice. First time we read it aloud, I just had them process what they thought the deeper meaning was. And that at the end of the second recitation, I had them get together in small groups and kind of arrive at a deeper meaning. And I think that's a good practice. Let the kids figure it out instead of us spoon feeding it to them. So in order to get my students to write at the caliber that you're seeing, I got to the proverbial easel and canvas a lot this year. And at the time of recording this, we're at the middle of February. And I have painted with and for my students innumerable times using the inverted thesis heuristic or the inverted thesis frame. So they know how to wield it at this stage of the game. If this is your first crack at using this frame, you might want to model it a few times for your students. And I know that's a terrifying prospect for some teachers to show their writing to a group of teens. It's a really good practice. So imagine if Bob Ross did not model for us using his heuristic of the wet on wet technique every time he did a natural landscape. It's just really nice practice to get into, and it loosens kids up and demystifies the process for them. So I have a quasi formula here that I use when we're unpacking theme. And the question I asked kids was this: are we talking about a mouse and his demands, or are we talking about something else? So the formula breaks down to this kind of calculatively. X is being compared to Y to convey what, right? We're not talking about a mouse and his cookie and his milk and his napkin. We're talking about something else. And we'll arrive at that when we take a look at the student exemplars. So if you take a look at prompts, right, whether they be your own or a state prompt that is having kids perform literary analysis or the AP literature prompts, implicit in the prompts are 2 questions. What is the author's intent and how does the author construct meaning? If they answer both of those questions, they should, if they read the text correctly, arrive at a thesis. So to break that down visually, it looks like this. What is the author's intent gets 3 sentences, and you lead with those 3 sentences. So you want to focus on the universal truth, the universal theme, the exigence, the pithiness, the moral of the story in 3 sentences. You're going to follow that up with one sentence that arrives at the answer of how does the author construct meaning? And that's the place where you want to drop your literary terms, devices, techniques. So it's a 3+1 frame. 3, what is the author's intent? 1, how does the author construct meaning? There's other things that I want to see in there. One is from my Word Study Academy. I want to see a fair amount of Tier 2 level vocabulary. And what I mean by that is just your average run-of-the-mill SAT level caliber words. It is an academic paper. We are writing about a children's book. So you got to weigh and balance that together. I also run a Nuance Academy in which we study Strunk and White's seminal text called Write It Right. And they have something in that text called Rule Number 18, which makes the assertion that there's 12 different sentence types that can be patterned 20 different ways. In my YouTube channel, I have a whole bunch of videos dedicated to sentence constructs in the hopes that students can achieve better voice rhythm and flow above and beyond their default independent clause sentence construct that yields that dot, 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 dot rhythm and tone. We don't want that. So we want some nice, supple, flowing, fluid sentence constructs throughout. And I think the 3 exemplars that I chose for us to analyze today do a nice job of that. So here's number 1. And I'll read it top to bottom and then we'll break it down. So keep in mind 3, author's intent, 1, construction of meaning. So pay attention to the first 3 sentences and then how the last sentence uses the terms, the devices, the techniques. For better or worse, all life is governed by the principles of karma. Like a chain reaction, deeds beget consequences in which one action leads to a domino cascade of corresponding results. As such, all deeds are governed by a cause and effect relationship. So that's the first 3 sentences, and this student is basically making the assertion that if you give a mouse a cookie is a representation of the cause and effect principle. The children's classic, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, allegorically arrives at such an understanding. So this student went with the idea of allegory, right? Depiction. And again, when we get into the octopus prompt for AP Lit, they have familiarity with reading metaphorically and allegorically. So a good old 3+1. I love the verbs in here, right? Governed, domino cascade of corresponding results. Deeds beget consequences. So the vocab's nice. All the sentence constructs are varied. And what I have my students do is this. Take a look at sentence 1. Sentence 2 should be stylistically different. 3 should be different than 2, and 4 different from 3. So that's a good little litmus test to ensure that they are making some effort to get that voice rhythm and flow. So let's paint that one more time. I got 2 more examples for us. Should be demystified by the end. As a simple law that governs all life, take away the cause and the effect ceases. Given this, the end pre-exists in the means, the fruit and the seed, the wet and the rain. I love the philosophical bent of that. Another way of saying it is like this. What goes around comes around, forever and unceasingly. So we're 3 sentences in. Hit me with the terms, the devices, the techniques. This concept is metaphorically explored in the children's parable, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. It's the exact same frame as number 1. Totally different student arriving at a thesis in the exact same way. You can see the vocab's up. Sentence constructs are cooking. The student actually used a colon and ellipses, which I thought was a cool effect. And out of the gate, they're off to blazing speed. So yes, you can do it. Let's see it one more time. The inverted thesis heuristic looks like this. 3+1. Life is a perpetual instruction in cause and effect. In other words, energy, one's actions, begets energy in a karmic chain reaction of events. This cause and effect relationship that binds all of life is the secret gearing in the machinery of nature. So we're 3 in. Next one, how about the construction of meaning sentence? As depicted in the classic children's tale, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, this concept is metaphorically explored. So very good stuff, top to bottom on this. It's always 3+1, sprinkle in some tier 2. cook the sentence constructs, and you should be out of the gate swinging as long as you've ascertained the meaning of the text correctly. So this is really cool. This is one of the reasons why I like frames and heuristics, because writing will take care of itself. And what students need to do then is just focus on their reads. All right, if you have any questions or want to reach out, you can drop me an email at teachingwritingcoach@gmail.com. Note that I offer professional development sessions throughout the academic and the calendar year. And this summer, I've teamed up with Applied Practice, and we're going to run an AP Language and an AP Literature seminar over a 5-week period, 90 minutes a pop per class. I've taught AP Language and AP Lit for 2+ decades. So if you want to really hone in on the composition, the ampersand composition aspect of Lang and Lit, this is a really good PD course, which is quite affordable. So it'll be very nice. So if you want information on that, you can check out Applied Practice's website at www.appliedpractice.com, or feel free to drop me an email. That's it. I'll keep more of these coming in the days, weeks to come. So sit tight. I will keep producing them. Take care.